welcome back to Mind Over Emotions, the podcast. I'm your host, Herc. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to come on the podcast and share your story, send us an email to mindoveremotionspodcast@gmail.com. And if you can, head over to Instagram. Follow us on Instagram at mindoveremotions_VDP. Follow us on TikTok as well at Mind Over Emotions, the podcast. All right. It's been a year and a half. It seems like. No, it ain't a year and a half. Actually, so before she introduces herself, I'm just going to tell you guys a backstory real quick. When I started my podcast, Shay was supposed to be the first person to come on the podcast to help us because at the beginning I was super nervous and I was like, well, I didn't know how I was going to be as an interviewer, right?
Right.
So I was like, well, I need somebody, my first guest, to kind of break the water, be somebody who I know will be talkative, who I ain't got to bring out the conversation out of. So that's why I chose you. But it fell through.
I got COVID.
It fell through 15 times, it seems like, but, a year later we're here. Last episode of 2025. So that's amazing that you got it in the first year. So do me a favor, name, age, where you're from, if you have kids, and relationship status.
Yes, my name is Shay Cornethan. I am 38 years old. I am married, and I have 4 daughters and one kind of adopted stepson.
Okay. Where are you from?
I am originally from Texas. I have been in Washington since younger ages, probably about 8 years old.
What part of Texas?
I was born in Temple, grew up in Dallas.
Okay. Do you remember Dallas at all?
Not very much.
Well, how old were you when you moved here again?
So originally we moved here when I was about 3 or 4. My mom was leaving my dad. My dad came back for me and my brother, and then I came back when I was 8.
So you came here originally with your mom and your siblings, and then your dad came and got you and took you back to Texas?
Correct.
Did he take you legally or illegally?
Illegally.
Okay. Dang. I only say dang because I kind of have a similar thing, not with me, but just a situation. But as somebody who was 3, 4 years old, and obviously you remember that a little bit, did that affect you at all?
I don't remember much of it. More of the story that's being told by my family is that they were just trying to save my brother because he was the only boy. Okay. My uncle is actually the one that flew down to come and get us. But every story that my family has ever told has always been we were coming back to get Shane. They never really mentioned me. But yeah, it was, I don't remember very much of it.
Okay. Did you end up having a relationship with your father?
No. I didn't figure out who my father actually was and actually remembered him until I was 19 years old. My sister had found some letters and birthday cards and stuff in a closet at my parents' house and figured out that they were from our biological father. At the time, my mother was married to a new man. They had been married since I was about a year old. And as far as we knew, that was Dad. But when she found these letters, she was basically on a mission to find out who this man was that was sending the letters. And that's when we found out that my older sister, my older brother, and myself had a different father than my younger sister.
Okay, so when you found out that information, how did that affect you? Because I'm pretty sure that growing up, you probably was raised as if that was your father.
Correct.
Right? So finding out that wasn't your father and then being 19 and finding out who your real father was, how was that?
It was emotional because we kind of felt like we were lied to our whole lives. Once we met him, though, we were grateful for the man that raised us.
Okay. I can kind of relate because I have a stepdad who I was raised with. I knew who my biological father was, though, but he was at the time incarcerated, so there was no relationship there. But I was raised with my stepdad, and then when I got older, it was kind of hard for me to, and I would still say to this day, it's still kind of hard for me to let my biological father get really close, just because I don't think that we've really addressed or worked through some of the trauma that was caused by his choices. But I forgive him, and at the end of the day, I love him for who he is. How would you describe your childhood? If you had to describe your childhood in one sentence, how would you describe it?
There's really not one sentence for that.
Okay, well, just how would you describe it then?
In my most honest opinion, as we're growing up as children, we feel like our parents are giving us everything and anything that we are wanting or needing in our lives. It's not until you get to a certain age that you realize that it's not the best that you thought that it was growing up. My childhood, in my opinion, before I got to that age of realization, was amazing.
Okay.
Once I got to the age of realization, I feel like everything changed.
What changed? Like, if you had, like, what's one thing that changed once you got to that realization?
So I was 16 years old when I started to realize that a lot of my friends that I was in middle school with at the time and high school with, they had a lot more than I did. We were not a privileged family whatsoever. My mother did the best that she could. My father did the best that he could, the one that raised me. Which is why I said that until you got to that age of realization, you think your life is great.
Yeah.
But when you're seeing your close friends having this life and having things that you don't have, you start to realize that you may not be living the best life possible for yourself or what your parents are capable of giving you, and it may only be what they're capable of giving you. But my parents, my mother was depressed a lot, barely left her bedroom. My father at the time, or my stepfather, the one that raised me, he got injured at work and became an addict after his injury, and they became hoarders. So for my 16th birthday, I threw a party. I had a DJ, a friend that lived across the street. He came over, he DJ'd. I spent hours cleaning the house and throwing all of their stuff from all over the house into the basement so that we had a clear living room and dining room. It was an open concept, living room and dining room. We had a great time, but friends are walking in the house for my sweet 16 party, and all they are talking about is the smell. My parents had a lot of animals, and the animals were not very house trained. And so it was like an embarrassing thing for me to bring people over to the house, but at the end of the day, everybody got over it. We all had a great time, but it brought me to the realization that, man, I'm not in an environment that like most of my friends are in. If I would have went to somebody else's party, they wouldn't have walked into a house that smelled like dog piss or cat piss or whatever. I was just grateful at the time that my friends accepted me for who I was in that time. And still stayed and had a great time with me for my 16th birthday. So I think that's when I came to the realization that my life wasn't as great as it could have been. You know what I mean?
Do you think that, did you ever talk to your parents about, like, that, how that affected you? Like, just the fact
yeah,
that
absolutely. I'm a very outspoken person. I have definitely spoken to my parents about it.
How did that go over?
It didn't go over very well. Me and my parents had a falling out. When I was 16 years old, I ended up emancipated. Moved out and moved in with my auntie and my uncle at the time and started working for her in-home daycare.
So as a mom now, right, that you were saying, like, looking back, when you realize that things weren't how it was, what do you do now differently with your children to make sure that they I guess you could say, they do fit in with their peers? They don't have that, like, separation where they live one type of lifestyle. They look at their friends and they're like almost like a jealousy or envy towards their friends because their friends have X, Y, and Z and they only have A, B, and C. You see what I'm saying?
My kids don't have to ask for anything, and when they do, normally we give it to them. They definitely, being a parent after growing up in the environment that I grew up in, not saying my parents are bad. Again, my childhood, in my opinion, was great until I realized it was not. And it wasn't until I was older and was able to comprehend that I wasn't living the best lifestyle that I could possibly live, okay? So growing up, I have always been, my goal has always been to give my children a better life than what I grew up in, okay? We don't have a dirty house. My house doesn't smell like animals. My children, there's always food in the house. We're not eating top ramen or spinach out of a can every day. They literally have anything and everything that they could possibly ask for.
And so with your children, right, I know that you have, how old is your oldest one?
Madison is 22.
And then your youngest is?
A year and a half.
And then they all have different fathers, right?
Madison is my husband's daughter from a previous relationship. Okay. Angelina, and Madison's 22. Angelina is 18, and she is my child from a different relationship. And then we have Sovereign, who is 11. She is mine and my husband's daughter together. And then we have Zahara, who is 18 months, and she is mine and my husband's together.
And how long you and your husband been together?
It'll be 17 years in April.
So basically, for most of Angelina's life, he's been
Her father.
Her father. So, do you feel like that with some of the things that you see your daughter go through, that you can kind of see yourself in the things that she's kind of like, not necessarily repeating the steps of what she went through, but you can relate to her really well?
Angelina has grace. She is very acceptable to everything that I have tried to do for her in her life, especially with having, for the most part, an absentee father. She, in her mind, she is always acceptable of what her dad does. She's always going to protect the father that created her. But at the end of the day, she knows that my husband is the man who raised her. She has never treated me or him any type of way. We have never tried to keep her away from her biological father. We have never tried to stray that relationship or lead that in a different direction. For the first couple years that me and my husband were together, he would even tell Angelina, "You have a father, I'm not your father." Until, we realized that our relationship is where our relationship needs to be and that Angelina needs a father figure. And then that's when he stepped in. So I don't think that Angelina is trying to repeat any of the patterns of me from my childhood. I think that she's trying to build her own patterns. And I think that she's trying to build her own life for herself.
That's good, that's good. All right, so as a Caucasian woman, right, you're raising all your children are biracial?
That is correct.
So as a Caucasian woman raising children who are half black, right? What kind of struggles do you think that you go through with trying to raise, in a sense, black women and you're Caucasian in a world where racism is still prevalent?
I worry about them every day. Every time they leave my house, every time I get a phone call, I'm always worried about what the conversation is going to be on the other end. Yeah, it's scary, honestly. I can't relate because everybody always looks at me as a Caucasian woman. I have other bloodlines within me, but when you look at me, I am Caucasian.
Yeah.
But when you look at my children, Angelina, the biggest thing that she gets is she works at a Subway. I think I've told you that. Mm-hmm. Her boss happens to be my boss. And he'll come into work and he was like, "Yeah, I got this review for the Subway." And they're like, "Oh, the little Mexican girl that works at the store." Because, with her bloodline, she has Puerto Rican in her. She definitely looks like she is Hispanic. So being of a different descent other than me, like my children, they look like me, but they're of different color. Yeah. It is definitely scary to send my children out into the world. Sovereign, she walks all over the neighborhood. She likes to be everywhere. And it always scares me, especially with everything that's been going on in the Tacoma area, for me to have my little light-skinned girl walking the streets. You never know who's going to walk by or drive by and be like, "Oh, there's a little white girl or a little light-skinned girl. Let me
do whatever." Yeah.
It's definitely a scary situation, and yeah.
What kind of struggles though have you had raising them? I guess what I'm saying is for instance there's black culture, and there's white culture, and there's all kinds of culture, right? So, obviously, because their father, their stepdad, or whatever you want to refer to him as, your husband, who's raising them, he's black, and he obviously is 100% black culture, right?
Right.
And then you're Caucasian, and I know you've been around black culture for
my entire life.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're still Caucasian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think was, I guess my question for you is, what's the biggest thing that you think that you had to do to kind of be able to relate to them and ensure that they were being, tapped into their black culture?
I honestly, that's hard because, again, everybody identifies me as Caucasian. Nobody really identifies the fact that that's not all I am. So when you look at me, you automatically see me as a white woman. When you look at my children, they are automatically identified as being Mexican when they're not. They're not immediately identified as being of a mix of black and white, okay? I tried to tell my children, I was like, accept who you are. There was a point when Sovereign was little that Sovereign would tell everybody that she didn't care what color her skin was, she was white. I had to tell Sovereign to accept who she was as a person, accept the color of your skin. I don't care who at school is telling you, oh, your mom's white, so you're white. Your dad is black, so you're also black, girl. It's hard to raise, honestly, as a identifiable white woman. It is hard to raise children of color, to be of color, because they more so, especially the girls, they more so follow their mother.
Yeah.
They want to be who their mother are. They see their mother fighting for the person that she is, so they want to fight for the person that they are. So identifying as the person that their mother identifies as is their go-to. So I try to give them the needs or the wants that they are able to identify as themselves. Don't try to identify as me. Don't try to be me. I need you to be yourself. I need you to be who you are. I need you to be the person and the color that you are. It has nothing to do with me at the end of the day.
All right, so I'm going to ask you this question. We're going to transition this. So what kind of support system, well, first off, in your opinion, how important is it to you to have a support system?
It's very important. I honestly wouldn't be here today without the support system that I have.
What does your support system look like? You ain't got to say names, but just what does it look like?
So I have two really good friends who have been around for the last like 16, 17 years of my life. I know I can call for anything. I have a cousin who is also one of my really best friends that I literally can call him and vent to him about anything. I do have a few extra friends that if I'm having a panic attack or an anxiety attack in my car, I can call and vent to, and they'll talk me out of it. So my support system is actually pretty strong. Pretty strong.
Okay. I have a question about support system. I never asked this before.
Mm-hmm.
How important do you think that is to have your support system, but for you to also be a support back to those same people?
I feel like I'm everybody's support.
Okay.
Honestly, everything and anything that my friends or family go through, I am one of the first people to get called. I will bend over backwards and put everything aside in my life to help those that I care about. That's just the person that I am. One of my friends actually told me numerous times over the last couple of years, she said, Shay, you're an angel. She was like, you do everything for your household, for your husband, for your kids. You do everything for your family. You do everything for your friends. She did eventually break it down to me just the other day, and she told me, she's like, but when is somebody going to be an angel for you?
That's always a good question, because that's why I asked the question, because a lot of times we'll have our support systems, right? So let's just say it's, I got a support system of you and
right.
your friend that you brought with you, right? And every time I need you guys are there.
Right.
And then when the tables is turned, when I'm good and you need me, and then I'm not there for you, right? That happens more times than not, right?
Correct.
So would you say that it's very important for if the people who support you, that you support them back?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm glad you agree. So I'm telling you, not to cut you off, but I'm so glad you agree. I literally had this conversation a couple of days ago when I was working, and I was like, it's kind of crazy because we all say it all the time about how, like we're always there for this person, we're always there for people, but then when we have, we need something, there's no one for us to call, right? And it's like people will support people they don't know so much easier than supporting the person who supports them on a daily basis.
I have a harder time supporting people that I don't know. Like, if you're going through something, which I actually just made a post on Facebook today, it's like, if you're going through something or you need help, reach out to me. If I can't help you personally, I will try my best to lead you in the right direction. I have phone calls I can make from my support system that can help me lead you in the right direction to be successful in your life or get the help that you need, no matter what it is. But I fully 100% think that if I am willing, me personally, if I am willing to drop everything that I am doing, whether I'm at work or at home, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, get a phone call, somebody tells me they need me, I'm going to make phone calls, I'm going to drop off my 1.5-year-old daughter, and I'm going to be there for that person, because that is who I am. And I fully expect that if I'm going through the same thing, say a month from now, I fully expect for me to be able to call that person be there for me.
I literally told a guy at the gym the other day, I was telling him, because he was like, I know you do your podcast, and I know you're all about mental health and stuff like that. He's like, I've been wanting to have this conversation with you, but it just never seemed like the right time. And I told him, I said, look, man, I tell everybody this, that if you have me on social media, you have my phone number, don't ever hesitate to call, right?
Correct.
Because there's never going to be a perfect time, right? But the biggest thing that my biggest fear is that you're going to try to wait for the perfect time, and then there's never going to be a perfect time, and then I'm going to find out one day that you're no longer here. Because you were too afraid to actually come talk to me because you felt like I was busy. I was like, if you see me in the gym, you can talk to me. At the end of the day, I don't care about a workout. You know, like, I can always get another workout, and if I don't, so be it. But I can get another, you know, if I go to the bar, or I'm at the club, or the bowling alley, or whatever the case may be, you know, that fun is not worth that person's life, you know?
Correct.
So
That's what I said. I've heard a lot in the last couple days, going through some new things. Everybody that I've talked to about what I'm currently going through is you cannot help those who do not want to accept the help. In my opinion, and this is what I posted on Facebook earlier, in my opinion, everybody wants the help. They just don't know when to ask for it. They always think, oh, I'll ask for help tomorrow, or maybe the next day, or maybe the next day. And the next day could be their last. Mm-hmm. And even though we offer them their help, or offer them our help, we could offer them help one day and they'll be like, oh, ask me again tomorrow and I'll be willing for your help tomorrow. And then you get that phone call the next day that they're no longer here. So they want the help, they just don't know how to accept the help.
How do you perceive mental health in today's society?
I don't think that anybody gets enough help with their mental health in today's society. I don't think, I had a friend recently, which I won't mention any names, that is going through some things and has been very vocal about it on social media. And everybody on social media has told this particular friend to call the crisis hotline. So he did. He called the crisis hotline, and
811.
I don't know the number,
Right.
but he did call the crisis hotline, like everybody suggested that he did. And when he called, almost the entire 10 minutes of his conversation with the crisis hotline was them asking for his insurance information. They would not talk to him unless he provided his insurance information. No matter how many times he cried to them that he was in a crisis and he needed to talk to somebody and he needed help, he felt like the crisis hotline failed him. So it's like we're supposedly have these options available for us to help us with our mental health, but they're not willing to help us unless we're willing to pay.
Yeah. I feel like mental health you really shouldn't have to pay for mental health, because on those crisis hotlines, because it's not like you're providing, I think it should be a volunteer thing.
Correct.
Because I feel like the people who are on the other end of that call, they really need to care about people's souls, not care about, like, treat it like a job, right? Because the moment you start treating it like a job, it lacks sincerity.
Correct.
Right? And so when you call and all you're getting asked about is money, like, you know, insurance, you ever took a step back and thought that maybe the reason why this person's in this state of mind right now is because of the lack of money?
He wasn't even at home or around his insurance information. He was standing outside in the rain trying to talk to somebody who he was told was going to help him.
Would you say that mental health today is more like a fad versus like reality? Like, people really care about mental health, they just talk about it because it's like the thing to talk about right now?
It is definitely the thing to talk about right now. I don't know that people are actually taking it seriously, and it needs to be taken seriously. It really does. We could have somebody standing in front of us right now who is literally spiraling down a deep, dark rabbit hole, but smiling in your face. Mm-hmm. And feel like they can't talk to anybody because the last couple people they tried to talk to weren't listening.
Yeah, matter of fact, when I went bowling like 2 Fridays ago, it was funny because the group of guys who I was bowling with, this couple next to us, they started talking to me about mental health, right? And I was holding the game up. And then one of our buddies walked up, and he didn't say nothing. He just kind of like listened to the conversation. And then I overheard him. When we went back, he was like, "Hey man, we can either skip him or we can wait." He was like, "Cause Herc's over here. He's talking about mental health. You know how he is with that." And
right.
Literally, I spent like 30 minutes, and they were like, "Oh, you know, it's probably you're holding the game." I was like, "Don't let us slow you down." I was like, "Look, at the end of the day, I don't care about the game."
Right.
I was like, because this conversation could be what helps you out.
It could be life ending.
Yeah, you know, and I
or life saving.
Yeah, and I take the time. I remember things like if I meet you today and I say, hey Shay, how are you doing? And you say I'm okay, and then I see you tomorrow and you say I'm great. A lot of people will be like, oh, that's good, and keep it moving. Me, I'm gonna be like, what makes today so great? Because subconsciously I remember yesterday you said it was okay. So what happened? Because a lot of people when they make that decision in their mind silently that oh this is the end, like I'm gonna you know unalive myself. They become a place of peace, right? And so they are quote unquote great in their mind because they're accepting to what they're about to do, right?
So I just recently decided to rewatch the series on Netflix, 13 Reasons Why.
Mm-hmm.
I only watched it once, and that's when it originally came out a few years ago. And I watched every week when the new episodes came out. I never actually went back and rewatched the whole thing. I was more so watching it to see, at the time, my 18-year-old daughter, Angelina, she was just going into middle school when the show came out. And a lot of the kids were watching it. And so I decided to watch it first to decide whether or not I wanted to allow her to watch it like her friends were. And at the time I was like, no, I don't want her to watch this show because this show could honestly, at her age, promote her young mind to think that this is what she needs to do when somebody is treating her a certain way. But now that I'm rewatching it a second time and I'm seeing and hearing some things on this show that I didn't realize the first time, I'm now telling my husband, I think that we need to have our 11-year-old daughter watch this show. Because this show goes into, middle school and high school life and what causes somebody to break, right? Like this girl on the show had 13 reasons why she unalived herself.
Yeah.
A lot of it was bullying. A lot of it was sexual abuse. People not telling her that they loved her, spreading rumors about her. And at the end, it could have been prevented. And so it comes back to the mental health conversation. Like this girl in the show was going through so much, and it was unspoken. And she ended up unaliving herself because she did not speak these words to anybody that she thought could help her through it. So in order for me to protect my children from going through what they're going through, I mean, obviously Angelina's 18 now. She's outlived any, stress or depression that she was dealing with at the, high school ages. She's graduated. I feel like that it could benefit Sovereign to see this and see what being a bully herself or even being bullied and being able to speak up about it could do to save your life.
What kind of steps do you and your husband at home take to provide a place of comfort to where your children can come talk to you and feel open to talk to you about the stressors that they have?
Oh yeah, our children know that we are 100% open. We do not judge. We don't care what you're going through, what you're doing, what happened. We've always had that open door of communication for our kids. They know that they can come and talk to us about anything. There's not really any steps that we had to take. It's just the way that we raised them. Angelina knew and still knows to this day, even not even living in my house anymore. She will call me when she's going through something or she's emotional or she feels like causing any kind of self-harm or, going like if she wants to quote unquote put her hands on her girlfriend. Sovereign, she knows that she can come and talk to us anytime she wants to. And Zahara is just so young. She doesn't obviously understand any of that. It has always been something with raising our kids that we have made sure that door is always open for them to come and speak to us about anything. It doesn't matter what it is. We're not going to judge you. We're not going to punish you. It doesn't matter if you got too drunk at a party or if you decided to smoke weed for the first time. Like, we're not going to be mad at you. We are only here to support you.
So this is the time where I'm gonna have you to give us your some advice, right? Because coming from a mom who raised 4 daughters and like how you just spoke about how you have that open door policy with your kids, right? Mm-hmm. And they're very, you allow space for them to be comfortable to talk to you, right? So obviously that's like that balancing between like fun, cool mom and still getting the respect of mom.
Correct.
Right? So to a mom out there who has raising children who are trying, like are teenagers and they're trying to like balance between being the cool mom and also providing a space of respect and a space where these kids can come talk to them. What kind of advice would you give to a parent that's dealing with that?
Yeah, definitely still stand your ground when it comes to punishing your kids. If they're doing something wrong within your household or disrespecting you or their father or any other adult, definitely still enforce those punishments. But also make sure that the door is open for them to communicate with you with anything that is happening outside of your household. If they have something going on at school or at work or in their personal lives where they feel like that they just cannot manage themselves properly, allow them to come and speak with you without you being mad at them. But you have to make sure that you continue to enforce your rules at home. Make sure that they're still doing their chores, they're still doing their homework. Make sure that they're still doing everything they need to be doing as a older sibling or a younger sibling. You know, still enforce those punishments. Take their phones if you have to. But you have to keep that door open for them to be able to mentally come and speak to you about what they're going through outside of your household.
How difficult do you think that it has been for you to raise kids in today's society? Because when we were kids, right, we didn't have like social media like it is now.
Correct.
We didn't have everybody walking around with cell phones and, you know, just such a way to like instantly be impacted, right? Everything we did back, you know, like we got into some stuff at school. Unless that person had the balls to call your house phone and talk to your parents first and then cuss you out on the phone or
Right.
continue the drama, you had time to calm down till the next day. Right. But like this generation, like they go to school, they're getting bullied at school, getting talked about, the dramas happen at school, they get on the bus, they see it on social media, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, everything, right? And then they get home, these people can keep texting them all throughout the night. Right? And then they go back to school and it's just like a never ending thing. So what kind of steps do you do to kind of like, you know, understand what your children are going through these days?
I have 100% access to my children's phones. I have access to their social medias. I pay their phone bills. They're not allowed to have a phone unless I know the password for it. If I ask them to hand over their phone so that I can see what's going on in their phone, if they tell me no, they don't have a phone. My main thing, especially, you know, with, again, watching that show and seeing what was going on in the show, I want to make sure that my kids are safe and protected from anything that could be happening in the outside world. So Angelina, again, is 18 years old. She doesn't even live in my house anymore. I still pay her phone bill. I still know her passcode. I still have her login for her Apple ID. Okay. I see everything that goes on. You just have to don't be a dormant parent. Make sure that you have access to your children's devices. Because you could easily ask your kid, how was your day at school? And they're like, oh, it was fine. But like you said, could go up to their rooms and still be receiving these text messages. Nothing comes into my house or onto my kids' phones that I don't know about.
Okay, but actually, you gotta say which kid. What's the worst thing that you saw in one of your kids' phone?
That would be my 18-year-old daughter, Angelina.
I said you didn't have to say who it was, but go ahead. Angela's gonna kick my ass.
Yeah, we're just not gonna say what was found in her phone.
Let's go to a different thing that you found on the phone, and this time let's not mention who it is. If they know who it is, it's fine. We gonna throw them under the bus though.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like she got
she's coming for you.
We're not gonna answer this.
She said you knew the answer to the question when you asked the question. That's.
I'm not even gonna talk about that. All right, so
he's over there laughing too because he knows better.
He's
on the chopping block as well.
When would you say that mental health became like something that was prevalent to you? Like introduced to you.
I really didn't start dealing with mental health myself until I was probably about, I want to say in my early 20s. I did pretty good through my childhood and through my teenage years. My father that we talked about earlier, the biological sperm donor is what we'll call him. Once I figured out who he was, he did come up to visit us here in Washington. He was living in Nebraska at the time. He was a truck driver, so he was all over the country. He happened to come up to visit here in Washington. It was the first time I had ever remembered meeting this man in my entire life. And he spent a couple nights with me, and at the time I only had Angelina. And I'm going to try not to get emotional here. He left in the middle of the night without saying anything to anybody. He messaged me the next day and was talking about my mother, saying some very disrespectful stuff about my mother. He then Obviously we talked about how my daughter is, she's mixed, she's black and white. He said some disrespectful stuff about the race of my daughter. Said that I was a disgrace to him as a daughter for having a child who was mixed, and then told me that I love men of color just like my mother did, except he said it in a more vulgar way. That really struck me. I think I called Adrian, my best friend. I called him. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw your name out there.
Shout out Adrian. Go ahead.
I called him almost immediately after it happened, and was crying to him about the disrespect. You can disrespect me. Disrespecting me is one thing. I can handle it. I'm an adult, okay? But disrespecting my 1.5-year-old daughter in front of her face, that's not okay with me. And you are supposed to be, like, I wouldn't be alive today if you weren't 50% of that contribution to me being here.
True.
So, me and Adrian talked about it for a little while. And I never contacted the man again, but I think that's definitely where I started hitting a mental downfall, is when the man who was supposed to love me for who I am, because I am his daughter, like blood daughter, for him to disrespect not only me, but also his blood grandchild as well. That was my first spiral, my very first one.
Would you, just before we move on to that, do you think that, I guess since we're talking about white and black, do you think that white people who have children by black people, do you think that they experience bigotry as well?
Sometimes. I wouldn't say that it's all the time, but yeah, definitely sometimes. I can't speak for everybody who's in a racial relationship. I can only speak from my own experiences. When I am, with my husband in public, we definitely, there's definitely some judgment there. We had some incidents in the past where my husband would tell me, it wasn't even necessarily me and him going through something. It would be like maybe a sibling or something of his that they were going through something, and we would show up and try to be there for him or for them. And when the police show up, they immediately treat all of us like we are of color. I got kicked out of my car and my whole car got searched one time.
Well, I'm just saying because, like, for instance, like for me being a black man, right?
Right.
I think a lot of times we don't think about it as the people, the Caucasian people, the Hispanic people that
You're dating?
That we're dating, or that are just dating other people who are black, right? We don't think about the fact of the trauma that they go through, because they're now receiving racism or bigotry from their own race.
And
right?
here's a problem.
Because of a choice that they made. Yes, I know it's a choice that they made to go date outside their race, but when we're younger, we teach our children not to see race, right?
Right.
Not to see color. We're all the same, right? And I just had this discussion not too long ago. I said, well, I don't think that there's really any races, whether you're white and I'm black. I don't think there's really any difference, because if you believe in the Bible, we all came from the same two people.
And
right?
at the end of the day, when we disintegrate in the ground, we all have the same bones.
But at the same time, racism is prevalent, right? And I just, recently I started realizing, like for instance, if a white woman dates a black man, right, her white family is probably going to treat her differently. There's a good chance that not as big as it was back in the day, obviously, but there's still those families out there now, like, with me, having dated white women in the past, whose family were racist. I looked at it from my point of view of like, this is fucked up, this is messed up, right? But I never thought about the toll that it puts on that person, because that person loves their family, obviously, but they're in love with somebody who their family is, against just because of their race. And
right.
So it's like torn in between, and that's just trauma in its own. We always overlook that, and we just focus on the white family who's racist towards the black guy, or the black girl, not the person who's the family member who's being, who it's stemming from.
So I think my family has always accepted the men that I dated. I've never dated a white man. Every man that I've ever brought home have had some color to them. Okay.
Why?
Not sure. I can't answer that. I think it's just more of an attraction thing. But on the other end, yeah, I mean, white people can be racially profiled as well. When I was dating my 18-year-old daughter's dad, we were together from the age of 16 to 19. We were like high school sweethearts. His mother, for the first year and a half of our relationship, called me Snow Bunny. Okay, she didn't actually like fully accept me as like her
Hold on one second. Listen, for y'all who are watching this, we got somebody behind camera.
He started laughing.
Y'all can't see what I see. So as soon as she said Snow Bunny,
Yes, she definitely called me Snow
the
Bunny.
look on his face was crazy.
She called me Snow Bunny for like the first year and a half of our relationship, and then when Angelina was born, I think she finally like started to accept me as part of the family. Like she would call me into her room just to have late night movie nights, and it wasn't like that before. Before she would be in one part of the house, I would be in another part of the house. We'd barely ever talk until Angelina was born, and then we became closer. Angelina is her first and her only grandchild, so I think that's when it stopped. But it just goes to show like white people in interracial relationships can also be profiled by the family of the other party.
Let me ask this. So obviously,
Don't laugh at Snow Bunny.
I'm not.
Okay.
So as obviously a guy, right? When we go to meet our girlfriend's family, we're worried about the dad, right? Worried about how it's going to be meeting them, right? And then especially if it's like a dad of a different culture that you are, right? Is he going to be racist? Is he going to accept me?
Right.
Right. As a woman, what was like what's been your biggest fear of like meeting the black mom?
I was not fearful at all. Again, I grew up around a lot of people that were of color. My entire friend group, from the age of 8 years old to even now, I was like, they called me the token white girl. I was the only white girl of the group. So, and my parents always accepted my friends as like my sisters. We called them my sisters. It was more so their families, like a couple of my sisters that they're not here anymore, but their mom, who I call her mama now too, I literally be walking down the street like away from their house in the middle of the night, and she'd roll up on me, Shay, what are you doing here? What? Like she just, I wasn't always accepted as the only white girl of a friend group. Okay. So I was never afraid to actually meet when I was dating or still dating or married to a man of color. I was never actually afraid to meet an elderly woman of color because I dealt with that my entire life, okay? I've dealt with them talking shit to me about my, the color of my skin. I've dealt with them talking shit to me about me being the only white friend of their group of daughters or cousins or whatever. So that it goes back to where I say that black people aren't the only people that are racially profiled. I'm not scared to meet anybody of color. I love your mom.
All right, good. I hope you do, man. I hope you do. I was out there telling you.
I already did when I walked in.
So the podcast question of the day is always love or loyalty, and why?
I mean, you gotta love everybody, but
what's more important to you, love or loyalty, and why?
I need love over loyalty. I feel like love is what keeps me grounded. Having loyal people is nice, yeah, but you can't be loyal if you don't love.
Okay. You think so?
I think so, yeah. How can you be loyal to somebody if you don't love them?
Easily.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you can be loyal. You just be a man of your word or a woman of your word. That's loyalty.
Yeah.
Maybe you love them, though.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
I give you some pushback.
You cannot have one without the other.
I beg to differ.
If I love you, I'm loyal to you. But if I'm loyal to you, I have to love you.
But you're speaking in an anecdotal way, right? Which is why you answer that way. I get it. But what I'm saying is, like, in general, you can't have love and no loyalty. Because the people who, think about it, we always talk about it. The people who are closest to you, the people who love you, are the people who hurt you, right? That's disloyalty. That's why they hurt you, because they were disloyal. They did something that was disloyal. But you can have love without loyalty. But I totally agree with what you said.
You cannot have loyalty without love.
Exactly. Because, like I tell people all the time, loyalty is the action of love. It is. Now, do me a huge favor, be loyal, and spin that wheel. you land on something that I don't like, we'll have you spend twice. I'm trying. Oh, you got, what is it? Personal growth.
I can't say it. Huh?
Personal growth.
Personal growth.
Yeah. Yeah. Personal growth. Ooh, personal growth and peer advice. You're right in the middle of it, so we'll do both of them. Whichever one you want to go with first. You want to get some peer advice, or do you want to talk about personal growth?
Let's do peer advice first.
All right. So, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's pretty much, like similar to you? Not single mom. You're not a single mom. Ooh, sorry.
Not a single mom.
Married woman who has children, who's biracial children, and who grew up in a household like you. What kind of advice would you give them?
Honestly, I would say stay strong. It's stay strong. It is definitely not. It's not easy at all. Growing up in the household I grew up in, and then becoming the person that I am today, are a complete 360. My household is nowhere near the household that I grew up in. My relationship with my husband is nowhere near the relationship that my mother had with her husband at the time that I was growing up. My children are being raised completely differently than the way that me and my siblings were raised. So you just have to have a different mindset and hope and pray that you can provide your children with a better life than what your life was growing up.
Okay. You spoke on mindset. So, how important do you think that having a positive mindset and a strong mindset is in? How important do you think that is in like being successful? Like just successful in living life, not necessarily financially successful, just successful in living life.
Just in life. I mean, yeah, as long as you have a positive mindset with what you have planned for your entire life, for yourself, for your spouse or your partner or your children, you keep your mindset positive, they're going to have their mindsets positive. The minute you go negative, they're all going to follow you and go negative as well. So your mindset is definitely the most important, especially when you are like head of household. If you're head of household, everybody in the household is going to follow what you're doing. They're going to follow your emotions. They're going to follow your downfalls. If you're feeling some type of way, they're going to feel some type of way. Everybody is going to feel that tension. So you have to keep your mindset positive to keep everybody around you positive.
Okay. So personal growth. What kind of things have you done to here recently to just grow? It's a very basic question.
Here recently?
Yeah. Before you answer that, matter of fact, let me ask this question before I get in trouble for how to ask you this. How are you doing today?
I'm surviving is the best way to answer that question for today.
All right. What do you mean you're surviving?
Yeah, it's I haven't been sleeping well. My brain keeps me up until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, pretty much every morning. Just racing. There's a lot that goes on around me that I have a hard time comprehending and dealing with. But I know that I am a strong enough person to overcome. So yes, today I am okay, and today I am surviving.
What's been the biggest thing that you had to deal with in the last year? And how did you get through it?
In the last year as a whole?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're trying to make me cry. In the last year as a whole, I have lost 2 of my grandfathers. I have lost my niece. I have lost a very good friend of mine. The anniversary of his death is coming up here on the 6th of January. And then just recently, a couple days ago, I lost my cousin. So everybody who knows me knows that I go all out for my family. I am always the go-to person who is willing to help everyone and be there for everyone, whether it is holding your hand in a hospital while you take your last breath, or show up when family members call me and say, hey, I need your help, finishing up some final things for this person. I was the first person to be called outside of the family for my cousin that passed away a couple days ago. I'm just being that go-to person is not as easy as I make it look. So on the back end, the struggling, um, it's been hard.
So with all the loss, because I'm guessing, to answer my question, you're saying that the biggest thing you've dealt with is the loss of.
Correct.
So how have you survived? How have you made it through? Like what did you have to do?
Um, I don't know. Honestly, I try to take time for myself to breathe. I go to Ocean Shores a lot, as you know. We have a house out there, and I'm there a lot, just trying to like decompress and clear my mind away from all the craziness that's going on here in Tacoma, where most of the loss is occurring. Sometimes I just have to get away and breathe by myself.
Do you feel like that's dangerous though?
No, I have family out there as well, so I'm not like staying at the house by myself. I have somebody there that I can talk to that is literally in the room right next to me.
Okay.
So it's not like I'm out there in the house just by myself, locked in a room or in a house all day by myself. Like I have somebody there that I like, one person in general who has been a huge support system for me, that literally would do anything to make sure that I'm good. And he knows that when I show up, that it's for a reason, especially in the last year.
Okay.
So that's been nice.
So that takes us into the personal growth, though. All right. So you talked about how pretty much every time, like people need you or something happens, like you show up for people and
Correct.
you're there for them as a support system, right? So that's basically you're constantly draining from your cup. So how do you get your cup refilled? Who refills that?
That's what he says too, Mr. Man over here.
Because like the saying goes, you can't fill from an empty cup, right? And then plus you think about it like you're like a battery, like once you're drained, you don't work no more. And so a lot of times I feel like, especially with the good people out there, I feel like a lot of times if we just self-reflect and we sit down for a moment, a lot of our problems are not as big as we think they are, and they're not as bad. It's just that we're just drained, whether it's mentally drained or physically drained. We're just drained from always showing up for people. So we have to put back into our own cup. So what ways do you put back into your own cup?
So do you remember about 20 minutes ago when I said some people just spiral down a deep, dark rabbit hole that they have a hard time climbing out of?
Mm-hmm.
That was me a couple weeks ago. I reached out to some friends and some family. I got some advice. I took some time for myself. Being able to just talk to people in general to give me advice that I actually take, not just listen, but actually take, I think has helped a lot with refilling said cup. It has also helped with helping me climb out of that rabbit hole that I felt like I was falling into. 2 weeks ago, I didn't even want to get out of bed. I was calling my best friends, crying about just everything in general, like just the flashbacks of everybody that I've lost, not just in the last year, but in the last 5 years. Because it's been hit back to back to back. I grew up with a group of friends. There was 6 of us total. 5 of them are now gone in the last 5 years. Literally, I'm the last one standing. And so the reality of my entire childhood being gone is what I think led me into that hole. But then I realized that I have people around me now who are just as close to me in today's day that they were to me for the last like 30 years. And it's you guys, honestly, that helped me pull myself out of there and grow myself back into a position where I'm able to function on a daily basis now.
I'm glad to hear that.
So that would be my personal growth. Like, yeah, a couple weeks ago, I wouldn't have an answer for that. Today, it is you guys as my support system, not just the 2 of you sitting in front of me, but, my cousins and my sisters and my brother and my brother's girlfriend and my children and my husband and just people that I can call and talk to on a daily basis to let me know that, hey, they may have been here for you for the last 30 years, but we're here for you now.
All right, so this might be the question that might make you cry, and if it does, you don't want to answer it. It's okay. It's okay. I just know you, And because of what my podcast is for and why I started, I'm asked this question. We share a niece.
Correct.
Who passed away.
Correct.
Um, if you could have one more conversation with her and talk to her, what would you tell her?
I really don't want to answer that question.
You don't want to answer? You don't have to.
In the last year since our niece passed away,
Mm-hmm.
I have, especially because I had a conversation with her the day before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I just have so many questions. It's like, there's just a lot of questions. You can't really break it down into a conversation, because if I actually had her sitting in front of me today, like say she was sitting right here on this rug, sitting crisscross applesauce, and talking to me and you, it would just be, honestly, I think it would just be a lot of questions. It's like, I didn't see the signs when I talked to her the day before. There were, there was no indication at all. We talked about our weight loss journey together. We talked about meal planning. She had some ideas, I had some ideas. We were going to send them to each other. And then the next morning, my brother walked in the house and woke me up to tell me what had happened.
You know what my question would be to her?
It's, you only have one? I have multiple.
I only have one what?
One question?
Oh, no. I'm telling you, do you want to know what my first question would be to her?
What's that?
My very first question would be to her, how much do you trust me?
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because for someone to open up to you, fully open up to you about what's going on and what they're feeling, they have to truly trust you. You see what I'm saying? Because, and I think that's one of the biggest fears that people have, like even with coming on this podcast. It's like, some people know me and they trust my intentions behind this podcast. Other people just understand they know what I'm doing. They don't know me and they don't know what my intentions are with their story.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So they don't trust, they subconsciously don't trust me, and they just don't trust putting their story out there that it's going to be used for positivity. You know what I mean? So I think that would be one of my main questions to her. Is like, how much do you trust me? And then just building off of that, just because that was something I always instilled into her, was that no matter what, you can always trust me. You can always trust that, even if it's the worst thing. She took a lot of secrets.
She did. I don't know if you know, but she stayed with me for a little while at my house.
Mm-hmm.
My cousin knows that. He brings it up all the time. She was with me for about, I want to say, somewhere between 6 months to a year. And we talked every single day. I always used to do her hair. I felt like she kept no secrets from me. But after she finally moved out and got her own place, I honestly feel like we didn't talk as much as we did when she obviously she was in my house. We talked every single day. I would maybe hear from her once a week, and then it became like once a month, and then it became like every couple months. And I feel like that if I would have put more effort into reaching out to her on a consistent basis, rather than waiting for her to reach out to me most of the time, that she might have trusted me enough that day before, if she was feeling some type of way, to tell me what she was feeling. It's just there's just so many questions that go on in your head behind the situation. I honestly, if she was sitting in front of me today, I wouldn't know where to start. In all honesty, I don't have just one question. I have multiple.
Yeah.
Because we went from being so close and being together every day to talking like every couple months.
Let me ask you this. When it comes to like her parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the biggest thing is that they need from their support system? With losing their oldest child.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, they need people to check on them. My cousin in general is always quick to say that he's okay. No matter how many times you ask him, no matter how many tears you see come out of his eye, at the end of the day, he'll be like, I'm fine, I'm okay. That's why I've made it a habit to call him every single day. I literally call my cousin every single day after work. We talk the entire ride home for both of us, just checking on each other and each other's well-being. And I know his voice. I know when he's feeling some type of way. I can tell from the tone changes if he's, sad or happy or mad or whatever the case is, annoyed.
He definitely does wear his emotions in his voice.
It's in his voice. It's not on his sleeve.
It's
It's
not
not
always,
in his face.
yeah, but it's not even that he gets like loud or
No.
I feel like this. I'm not gonna say who it is, but I feel like when he gets loud, there's no more emotion.
No.
It's more or less like you've pushed him to the
his
limit,
yeah.
right? And
it doesn't happen very often.
yeah, but if you just actually know him and you just talk to him, you can tell by how he greets you. You can tell by he might greet you the same way, like "Hey, what's up?" But that "Hey, what's up" might sound a little different if you
From
know
the previous one.
Yeah, the voice is his voice, even in the subtlest way, is going to tell you a lot about his emotions. But I don't like to press him. But
Yeah, I don't.
I know that, like, we've been friends for over 15 years. Crazy.
I've known this man for 30 plus years.
No, I
we
believe
grew
it.
up in the house right next door on the east side. My
But
parents had that one house next door. His mom had the house right next door. Like, we literally, since we were yay high.
But do you know how hard it is to have a friendship with somebody for 15 years and neither one of you ever do anything to each other that's disloyal? Even with the situation, we're not gonna go into that, but the situation that me and him did have recently, right? If you really think about it, and if you know the true details of the whole thing, neither person did anything to the person that was disloyal.
I stayed out of it.
No, but I'm just telling you. Me and him talked about it. We just brought it up the other day. If you really think about the situation, neither one of us did anything to the other person that was disloyal. The things that I'll put it on camera. The thing that he did to me, in the moment I felt were disloyal, but it was all out of love, right? And then on my end, I never did anything that was disloyal to him, right? So
And you said you guys talked about it, so did he confirm that to you?
we've talked about it multiple times.
Okay, good.
And
I told you I stayed out of it, so.
no. We've talked about it multiple times, and I think honestly, some people say that like I think that it really I don't think it made us closer, right? Because we've always been like close. That's why we call each other brothers, right? But I think that it made him, honestly, I think that it truly made him look at me in a different perspective, in a different light, and it made me change. Right? And I think that it made me look at myself and believe in myself more because of what he did for me.
Regardless, at the end of the day, of whatever you guys went through, again, I stayed out of it. I heard both sides, and I did not choose sides, and I just...
Now, you chose sides. I'm joking.
I definitely stayed out of the entire situation. What matters the most to my cousin is that you showed up when you needed to show up.
Always.
And he'll hold on to that, okay? And honestly, it may have even made your guys' bond closer than what it was prior to whatever you guys went through.
That's what I'm saying. Like, closer, and I know he's going to watch this, right?
He is.
Because you're on it and because he supports the podcast. And, maybe we'll have a conversation. He'll clarify if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Like I said, I don't think
call me and tell me if I'm wrong, too. So.
I don't think that it necessarily made us close because how close we already were. I think that, like I said, it just made him look at me in a different light because of how his actions, what he did for me. Right? I need people to understand what he did for me, not to hurt me. What he did for me, it changed me in such a way that now he can see me in a different light than he ever has. You know what I'm saying? He can see me as, I'm not even going to say like an equal or nothing like that. Like, he can just see me as, I think it's because he's like a big brother to me, right?
Right.
So I think it's like he could see me as a big brother looking down on a little brother, almost like a proud big brother, because see how you change, right? But what he did for me as well was made me be able to believe in myself as a man and accomplish things that I didn't think I could. You see what I'm saying? Because he took away, we're not getting into that, but love you, brother. All right. So first, what do you think about the podcast?
I love it. I love the conversation. You definitely made me emotional a couple times.
Okay. You think the podcast is done?
No.
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 I mean, we're right there at it, man.
I know.
What would you, in your opinion, because I know you're very opinionated, what would you say I should change or do better at?
Honestly, I love the fact that you don't have handwritten questions.
No, I'm just looking at the time.
Yes, looking at the time is fine. I love the fact you don't have handwritten questions. You go based off of the conversation itself. You're doing really good. The first couple episodes, if you would have asked me that question, I would have had a different opinion, which I've already expressed those in the past. I'm glad I came on when I came on, because there's definitely some growth here, and it's way better than I could have expected it to be.
I appreciate that. Would you come back and do it again?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we can do my whole life story.
All right.
There's a lot more to me.
I know. I did have one more question for you. If you could think of one thing in your past growing up that shaped you in a negative way and shaped you in a positive way, what would it be? Let me rephrase that question. Make it easier for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's so much in my past.
It's gonna be a two-part question.
Okay.
What's something that was negative in your past that shaped you, and what's something that's positive in your past that shaped you?
So in my past, which not many people know about this, and I know this is gonna go public, which is fine. Myself and my brother, we were molested by a family member. It caused my brother to spiral and go into a very bad drug addiction, which I was eventually able to get him help for. I don't even smoke weed. I've never touched anything in my entire life, but watching my brother spiral, I think, is what helped me become the person I am today, where I just want to protect the people that I love and bring them out of these issues that they're having, like addiction or depression. So the negative impact would have been what happened to the both of us. The positive impact would have been what I was able to bring to others based off of that experience.
All right. What advice would you give to, what mental health advice would you give to those people who's watching us?
Ask for help. Don't call the crisis hotline. Like, apparently that's, based off of another friend just a couple days ago that posted about that. Call your friend, your closest friends, your closest family members. Don't be afraid to tell people what you're going through. Definitely don't dwell on it by yourself. Or you will not sleep at night. You will spiral. Just lean on the people that you can trust, that you know that you can trust, and that won't judge you for who you are or what you're going through. And just listen and take the advice. Please take the advice.
All right. Well, look, Shay, if you didn't know, 2025 is the year of the snake.
I'm a rabbit.
Oh, hold on. And just like the snake sheds its skin at the end of the year, everything that you've been through, all the loss, all the guilt, the pain, all the negative stuff that you've acquired and carried on your shoulders, shed that off before 31st. Yeah. So that way you can walk into 2026 a new person, feeling lighter, feeling optimistic. Because also 2026 is the year of the horse, and in that year you're supposed to hop on that horse and ride off into the sunset and receive every blessing that's entitled for you, right?
One of my kids is a horse.
Right. So, in all seriously, though, I pray that God be with you and that God strengthens you to mentally first get through everything that you've been through. I hope that 2026 things can start moving upward for you, and that you remain strong, and that that you continue to understand how important it is to first fill your cup before you pour out to somebody else. All right, at this point of the episode, I allow you to come on and put me in the hot seat. I like to call it Hot Seat Herc, where you get to blindly ask me a question and I just try to answer it the best way I can. So if you got your question, you're ready for it, shoot.
I'm ready for it.
Oh, Lord.
So, after after you have a hard day at work, okay, let's say that you receive some bad news. So your day at work was even harder for you to stay at work. When you get home and you pull up into your driveway, before you walk into your house to your woman and your children, what do you do to decompress so you don't let that off on them?
All right, so that's real easy. So when I moved, first off, I think I just said this to you guys the other night when we had the pajama party. I know I said this to somebody. When you came into my house, anybody who comes to my house, you'll notice that the air feels soft. It feels smooth. You know what that's called? That's called peace. Because we vowed that when we moved into this house that this house will be filled with peace and love and happiness at all times.
Okay.
Right? Meaning that, and I'm getting to your question. It's coming to your question. I'm just giving you some, because it helps you understand the simplicity of my answer, right? So no matter what we go through, no matter what we disagree on, we talk about it and we let it go. We don't hold on to it, right? I don't think that there's anybody who's ever been in this house yet who has raised their voice to the point where it's like you feel attacked. We're humans, so you might say something loudly, but never in a, derogatory way. We all show love and compassion to each other. We all literally, we're very positive for this house.
Okay.
And as a leader of this house, that's what I asked. I don't boss anybody around. That's what I asked for how my house to be. And anybody who comes into my house, if I notice that your energy is off, and it's not like that, I have no problem telling you to get the hell out.
Okay.
Right? So, it's simple. I leave it all in my car. Everything, nothing, if it's bad, like if it's really bad, I leave it in my car. The emotions attached to it, I leave it in the car. I come inside and I have a conversation with my loved ones, my support system, my family, let them know, obviously like how my day was. We might talk about whatever that problem was, but we don't let it stress us and we don't let it overtake our brain, right? Now the next day when I get ready to go back to work, if that spirit is still in my car, I pick it back up.
Right.
Why do I pick it back up? You want to know? The reason why I pick it back up is because if I don't, it's just going to be sitting out there lingering. And I got to keep facing it and I got to overcome it. I've got to defeat whatever that problem is, whatever that spirit is. Now, if it's just something that's like going on at work, right? Then I just kind of after talking to them, I just approach it with a positive mindset and I just kind of just do what I got to do to get through it. If I have to avoid those people who are causing the problems, and because I can be an angry person, and I could be a fighter, I could be all those things, but I choose not to be. I don't want to be those people because that person.
So follow-up question, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you got bad news while you were at work, but still had to continue your work day,
okay.
When you pull up at home, you said you leave it in your car. How do you leave it in your car?
What do you mean?
How do you leave it in your car? Do you...
The bad news?
Anything that you went through that day, the bad news on top of having to work through the bad news, any stresses that work may have caused you after you got the bad news, how do you leave it in your car before you walk into your house?
So I think that question is I feel like people first gotta love their home and love the people that's in their home, right? When you get to that point where you truly love the people that's in your home and you love just being in your home and you love the way you're proud of your home and just all the positive, your house is filled with positivity. A lot of people come home to negativity, right? I don't, right? So when I come home, it's peaceful. When I'm out and about at the bowling alley or if I go to the bar, people will tell you, I talk about, I'm about to go home. Most people want to stay out. I want to go home. Like, it's cool to go out, get a drink, or go out, bowl a couple games, but I like being at home. As much as I never thought I would be like a homebody, I love it being at home. You know why? Because again, it's peaceful, right? So it's when I pull up, to answer your question, when I pull up to the house, leaving in the car is as simple as this. Understanding that I don't want to be the way that I am right now in that moment. the anger, the stress, the hurt, whatever it may be. I want to be what's inside these doors, which is peace, love, happiness. I want to embrace that. And on top of that, it's easy because the joy of just thinking when I pull in on the street, I could be tired, falling asleep. It's been many times because I drive all day, tired, falling asleep. When I pull up here and I see the cars, I see the cars in the driveway, I see the house, I see the accomplishments, right? Nothing else matters. Everything that I went through, the negative or whatever, was worth it.
All right, one more follow-up question.
All right, last one.
I'm practicing to interview you.
Oh,
okay?
sneaky sneak. Okay.
All right. So when you pull up at home after your hard day, before you let everything go in your car, do you ever just like sit in your car and like maybe listen to some music, maybe call and talk to a friend? Do you ever do anything to vent it all out before you get out and come into the house to your loved ones?
Of course. But actually, no, I'm gonna say of course. Actually, because of the beauty of my job, I can be on the phone at work.
Okay.
Right? So if, let's just say hypothetically, right? Let's just say hypothetically my boss, and if you watch this, because all my coworkers are supporters and subscribers, big shout out to you guys. If you guys watch this, if my boss pisses me off, which they like to do.
Didn't you say they're watching?
I don't care. I'm honest. I tell them when they piss me off. They love me. I love them.
All right.
I have a great job, man. God bless me, man. He really has blessed me. But when they do stuff to piss me off, I call a certain handful of people. Those people are, they know who they are. You're watching too. Appreciate you. I call them. I tell them about the situation that's going on. They help me work through it. They help me get perspective, or they just let me vent, talk my shit. Fuck that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, I talk my shit, and then that's how. And then we always bring it around to like something that's funny, because I feel like this too. Your support system, going back to the episode talking about support system, I feel like your support system can't just be so serious at all times.
Right.
Like your support system has to understand who you are.
Correct.
Right, and be able to reroute that. Because if you stay pounding on just positive, like let's just say somebody's battling with depression or suicidal ideations or something like that, right? And you're just constantly harping on that. It's almost like smoking weed, right?
I don't smoke weed.
No, I'm going to give you an example, right? And anybody who truly smokes knows this is true. You can smoke, you can get high, but if you keep smoking, you will become unhigh.
Okay.
Right? And then if you keep smoking, you'll be high again, right? So you can talk to somebody who's going through something, and you can talk them down off that ledge. But the more you keep talking about it, and you don't transition to something else, more positive thoughts, more something different, taking their mind off of it, you're gonna literally circle back to those same emotions again, and they're gonna be right back. It's like starting all over again.
Makes sense.
So your support system has to know who you are, the baseline of who you are, and get you back to that, and know what it takes to get you back to that. Like for me, if I'm mad, we gotta talk shit.
As we do.
Talk shit to the point where we start laughing.
As we do.
And then once we get there, I'm good. But if you keep talking about the same problem, I'm gonna keep getting mad because it's like we
already got through it. Stop bringing it up.
Yeah, and then now I'm gonna start feeling like, in some weird, fucked up, sadistic way, I'm gonna start thinking that you agree with me. That's why you keep talking about it.
That's why you keep bringing it up.
Yeah, and so I'm like, oh yeah, so you're with me. Let's fuck them up. So my support system, the people, I know who to call based on the situation I'm going.
Okay.
Now, I talked about a situation, and I'll talk about this on my episode more, but I talked about a situation a couple episodes back where I got really low, and I was suicidal, right? And in that moment, I was like spiral calling. I was just calling everybody. Not the right people. I'm just calling the first people pop in my head, right? And at that time, I felt like everybody was against me, so I'm calling just random motherfuckers who don't even know me, right? And I wonder why no one showed up for me. It's because I wasn't calling the right people. So also it's up to you to know who your support system is.
Who your circle is.
Yeah. And that's why we gotta stop, as a people, we gotta stop trying to be accepted by everybody. I heard a great saying in 2025, and I'm ending here, I'm dropping the mic and I'm walking away, right? If you wanna be liked by everybody, Turn yourself into ice cream.
I don't like ice cream.
Well,
Give me a sherbet.
that's a form of ice cream.
No, like a sorbet, like a Greek
But you get
yogurt.
you get what I'm
Yes.
saying. You know what I mean? Like 99% of the people out here like ice cream even if they can't eat it. Like it's very seldom you find somebody who don't like ice cream, right? Or some form of ice cream. So, like I said, if you want to be liked by everybody,
How about cheesecake? Everybody likes cheesecake. That's what
whatever
Donkey
you
said in
think that
Shrek.
whatever you think that everybody likes. And my point is just this though, is we gotta stop worrying about being liked by in every circle.
Correct.
And learn to just be happy and loved in our own circle.
Stop trying to impress everybody else for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So, any more questions?
No.
For all you guys who are watching, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram at @minoriteemotions_VDP. Follow us on TikTok as well at Minority Emotions the podcast. And we out of here. Peace.